G'day, I just bought a van and sold a van in that order. Not recommended. So by buying the van, I didn't have enough money to pay it all off. So I said, oh yeah, I'll fix you up next week. And I eventually sold the van in enough time to make that gap. Oh, emotion roller coaster. I'd recommend you wouldn't do it in that order. In this video, I'm going to talk you through some of the things you need to look out for when you're buying a caravan. And they might seem obvious, but they're not obvious when you buy it and you get it home and you think, oh, should have asked him. Anyhow, let's go. You're off to buy a caravan. What's your budget? If it's a low budget, say 20 to 35,000, then you're really looking at a very small van or a pop top. If your budget, second hand I'm talking, if your budget is say 40 grand to 65,000, you'll start getting a nice van like so, the QE2. Or if you sort of haven't got a budget, some caravans are $100,000 plus. So decide on your budget and then you can move on to stage 2. So once you've decided on your budget, your next thing is what are you actually capable of pulling in the tow factor. My Prado can only tow 2.5 tonnes. Some of the other cars can tow 3.5 tonnes and the V8 Land Cruiser can tow 4 tonnes. If you're towing 4 tonnes, you can pretty much choose anything on the market. But if you're limited to mine, which is a low tonnage pulling power, then you really need to do the research on the van you're going to get, what weight it is. Because if it's too heavy, it doesn't make any difference. Any other permutations, too heavy, you can't tow it. And what makes it more heavy is you get 3 types of caravan, excluding the pop tops. 3 types of caravan. You get a road van, you get a semi-off-road, and you get a fully off-road. And each one of those, apart from the cost, be more expensive. Fully off-road will be generally heavier and yeah, more expensive. So keep that in mind for your weight distribution. And again, when you get to the caravan, don't get too excited. Go and find that little aluminium plaque that has been riveted to the van. It'll tell you all the tear weights, the GCM, the GVM, the ball weight, etc. Seriously, you need to know that before you start putting out cash and accidentally finding that the van is too heavy for your car. That you do not want to do. Brakes. If you're going to actually have a look at a caravan that you think there's a small chance you're actually going to tow it away, make certain on your car you've got installed electric brakes. They can be fitted in professionally, or you can actually get small remote control ones you can actually plug into your car, so that could be handy. But you're definitely going to have those electric brakes, because any caravan or trailer over 750 kilograms must be towed with electric brakes. And believe me, if you don't have them and you decide to run the gauntlet, you have usually, even a small caravan, you have a fair amount of mass behind you when you're trying to pull up at a stop sign, because the caravan's pushing you and you've got your car trying to stop. It's not a lot of fun. So make certain you get those electric brakes. Bedding. There's basically 3 types. One we probably won't consider too much, that's the bunk beds. But for the just general accommodation, you can either get the east-west bed, so that will start on this wall and go to the other side of the wall of the caravan, or maybe a bit shorter, that's east-west. And the one that I really liked is it's called the island bed. Basically the bed will run north-south within the caravan, and you'll have a little gap on the left and a little gap on the right. Now the advantage of that, it means that when a couple are sleeping in their bed, if it's an east-west, then there's all sorts of disturbances if one person needs to get out of bed during the middle of the night. But on a north-south or an island bed, one wants to hop out, they can climb out their side, just go about their own business, climb back in and hopefully, undetected, have a good night's sleep. Buying a caravan, you can either buy it privately or buy it through a caravan sales company. I personally would prefer to buy it privately. There's a bit of a risk in it, but there's probably risk in both ways. So for me to qualify that person on the other end of the phone is selling it privately and is genuinely selling it privately, I invariably will say, hello, I'm phoning about the caravan you've got for sale. And I'm hoping desperately they'll say, oh, the pop top or oh, the blah caravan. But if they say, oh yeah, which one? To me that's telling me that it's probably not a private sale and it's probably a used car salesman. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And the other thing is I try and pop out a couple of questions like, oh, how long have you had it? Did you buy it new? Why are you selling it? When was the last time you used it? All those are good little qualifying questions when buying a caravan. Hope that helps. Type of batteries, there's either AGM or lithium. Some of the newer caravans, or in my case on the little pop top, I upgraded it to lithium. So I took the AGMs out and put in lithium, and generally speaking I got a whole lot more caravan functionality, especially off-grid with the lithium. In this case I have AGMs, and I don't really intend at this stage to be changing over to lithium because there's no real reason unless some reason comes up, because I think I can manage it. And inside the van here, I've got some sort of management. I've got little battery chargers and I've got all sorts of things that, you know, prior to me owning it, the other guy was fine. Don't think he did a lot of off-grid, which I do a lot. But look, if the AGM, if it ain't broke, you're right, don't fix it. AGMs are fine. You do tend to need probably, if you're going to be fully off-grid, I think it's got 120 amp hours on it, the AGM. Realistically, I probably should have 240 just to make it all nice and so there's no drama. But I've also got a generator, and that generator at will, if I've got petrol in the spare container, that generator is going to keep me running 240 volt for usually 2 or 3 days, or thereabouts. It depends how I use it. If I'm using it for air conditioning because I can't breathe and I really want to cool down, then it's going to the generator will be using a lot more petrol. But I digress. AGM, lithium. If you're going to buy a caravan, don't say, oh, straight away, I'm going to change it all over to lithium. No rush. Let it bed in, get used to it, do some small trips, do longer trips, and find out just how well it lasts. You'll probably find, for your purposes, unless you're really doing off-grid, it's probably enough. Here's one that I still can't get over. Find out whether it's got an Anderson plug coming along the drawbar that you can plug in the back of the car. The purpose of that is you're going to run your alternator is going to do its work in the front, and then it's going to send power out to the back battery, because that Anderson plug will be connected to your battery inside the van, and it's going to charge that battery. Now, I still don't quite get it, but in this one, no Anderson plug, so there's no connection for charging from my car to the van. Generally speaking, they do, and make certain if you can to see whether it all works and everything like that. And if they do have that, quite often they have what they call a DC to DC charger. And if you've got it, find out what brand it is and just make notes of it. And yeah, if you've got the Anderson plug coming down, going through a DC to DC charger, that's great. That's really, really good. That means while you're driving down the road, and your alternator in the car will charge the first battery, the cranking battery, then go across to charge the auxiliary battery. So if you've got 2 batteries in the car and then it says, I'm done here, I'll scoot out the back and I'll start charging up the battery in the caravan, which should be pretty good. Solar panels. Does it ever stop? It's worth knowing all these things, seriously. Solar panels. So they're stuck up on the roof. And there's 2 types. There's actually 3 types that are serious, but there's the solid ones, and they're basically, if you get up and look down at the roof, you'll see a solar panel, not unlike the ones that you have at home. but they're only 12 volt. The second type, which is a bit rare, you can actually get the same things on a 24 volt, and apparently they're a lot more, they're supposed to be a lot better. But most people will just have the solid one. The other type that are starting to become fashionable, which is what I actually put an extra one on the pop top, was you can get flexible, and I'm talking, you know, boop, 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 boop. It's like, it's that flexible. You can do this with it. So the flexible ones are quite good if you can get them up on the roof and you literally glue them down or get them down and held firm, and then that's the end of it. So the more solar you have on the roof, the better. And if it was well thought out, even if they've got 1 or 2 or 3 solar panels up there, hopefully when you get up there, you check it and you measure it, you might have room for another 1 or 2. And if that's the case, you cannot have too much solar. So the solar is the free electricity coming at 12 volt, free electricity coming down. So what generally happens is it comes down as, it might be 17.5 volts or 24 volts or whatever, like a lot of voltage coming in, hitting the solar panels. Then it goes through the wires. Then it hits what they call a controller. 2 types of controller. Not trying to bore you, but it's important to know this bit. 2 types of controller. There's the basic one, which I think is called the SWF. Name across the bottom here, just to let you know. The other type is the MPPT. The MPPT is exactly the one you want because its efficiency is about 95%. So that means all the solar goodies that you're getting, woohoo, that's great, and you want to get 95% of that. Whereas the cheaper one, the SWF, if it's called that, it's really inefficient, cheap to buy, and it kind of just gets some solar and puts it in. So you want to have the top efficiency, MPPT. And my favourite product for that and brand so far in my experience has been the Victron. Love those. Okay, so make certain you've got lots of solar on the roof, a good MPPT controller, and then that'll go into the battery and just keep slamming that battery with lots and lots of voltage. Keep in mind though, once the battery's full, you can't store it. So it's full, that's the end of it. So that might happen at, if you've got a lot of panels on the roof, on a real sunny day, that might happen at say 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. Battery's full, doesn't need any more. But you might be using the batteries, you know, all sorts of things that are happening inside the van taking that power away. So your lots of solar panels to top it up really, really quickly. And the less you have, obviously, the longer it's going to take to fill up the tank of the little battery. Well, there you have it. This is part 1 of a 2-part series. There was just too many things to go through. Hopefully this video has helped you if you're out looking for a caravan. And if you've got any questions, please leave it in the comments down below. If you think it's worth sharing, please share it. If you haven't already subscribed, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. And until next time, this is Four Wheel Drive signing off.